Hi everyone, this is Brittnee Bond and welcome back to the podcast. I'm doing a little special in my car. I am on my way to Oakland right now and I had some time to spend. So I was like, I'm probably going to go to the gym right after this, but I was like, I pulled over, I sat in my car, I filled into my excitement and I was like, what am I excited to do? I'm like, I want to make a podcast. I've been having this thing I want to talk about, which is the thing I want to talk about in this podcast is what is going on with the conscious community right now, where like so many people think that if you're in some sort of spiritual conscious community, it automatically means that you're open sexually and open relating, open to whatever. And so it actually scares a lot of people away from certain situations because they're not really sure what the boundaries are and like what is safe and what's safe for them within their own bodies. And this came up because last week I was in Oakland. I've been traveling all over the place. Oh my gosh, since Burning Man, it's been a whole thing. And the reason why I haven't posted my podcast is because my laptop, I kept it at my friend's house in LA because I didn't want the dust to get to it, which was a very valid point because the dust got to everything that I own. And I just didn't pick it up last week when I was in LA because I was on many other adventures. But anyways, this podcast is being sponsored by Sasha's laptop because he's letting my friend's letting me use his laptop to post this. I basically just need to upload it. But yeah, so I was at Sasha's house last week. He's a very good friend of mine. We have known each other since lockdown on the island, like 2021. And Sasha is one of my soul family, and he came out to visit me again last winter on Koh Phangan, and then now I'm back here, and he is really helping me get set up here in the Bay and like helping me organize my play parties and stuff. And I'm just shout out to divine masculine men like Sasha. I'm going to have him on my podcast soon. And he's been wanting to do a cuddle event at his house. And I was like, hey, I'm in town. Let's do this. Like, this is like who I am. Like, I breathe community. I breathe like connection and like, let's do this. This is just, if I'm going to get together with my friends, we might as well be cuddling. We might as well be co-regulating and catching up. And so I said to him, like, what about tomorrow night? I'm coming into town. This is last week. I was like, what about tomorrow night? I'm coming to town. I have some of my soul family that I want you to meet, and I want your soul, like him and I have like these group of friends that we really wanted to meet each other. And I was going to stay with him. I was traveling in with two of my best friends who drove down from Washington State to pick me up last week. And we ended up going to Disneyland, which is a whole other thing. And it was so fun. I was at Disneyland all week. We went to Disneyland for one day. We were there for 13 hours, which was so fun. We went on over 20 rides and just like fast passed our way through. Anyway, so Sasha was like, well, it's the Bay. It's not like Koh Phangan. Like, people need to plan ahead. What if no one comes in like 24 hours? And I said, just do it, Sasha. Just do it. Just do it. Whoever is meant to be there will be there. So I'm going to put a picture on here of who ended up coming because we had this really beautiful cuddle event with some of my best friends, some friends that I haven't seen in years and years, and we were all catching up. And one of my really good friends, she was asking me about we were talking about her relationship and like the play parties, and because she was there when we were in the beginning of making the play parties on the island. And she was asking me, like, she was surprised that I was saying that I want a monogamous relationship now, at least for the first while. And I was like, yeah, like, I think it's really important. I shared this in past podcasts, but I'll share it again now. I think it's really important for everyone to go through the process of understanding what sovereignty means for them. So, like, if you, like, for me, I got married at 18, like, I didn't know what it felt like to be free. And I really needed to understand what that felt like in my own body, in my own psyche. Like, it actually had nothing to do with my partners. It was like my own personal journey. And this is how it is for most of us. It's our own relationship with ourselves is the most important thing, right? So if that, within that relationship with yourself, if you feel like you want to explore what some people call relationship anarchy, if you look this up, this means like, I keep opening the door because it's hot, but then I don't know about how the sound is coming through. It's very windy here in the Bay. I love that I'm also, you guys, I don't support Starbucks, okay? I just want you to know, but I just happened to pull over and they had a pumpkin spice chai and it's like the best thing ever. Please don't hate me that I'm drinking a Starbucks. I have been drinking so much local stuff. I actually like coming to the States and seeing how much corporations have taken over, especially since COVID. I'm like, we need to support local. We need to support local. And here I am being a fucking hypocrite drinking my Starbucks. It's so good. Anyways, you do the best you can. That's all I have to say. Like, I just think we can't take life so seriously, you guys. Like, we need to have fun. We need to enjoy. If I'm on the side of the road trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life and there's a Starbucks, I'm going to get Starbucks. Okay, what was I saying? It's really important for us to explore whatever we need to when it comes to relating so that when we drop into relationships, we're doing it from a place of sovereignty. What does sovereignty mean? Sovereignty means I, Brittnee Bond, choose this. I'm not doing this because my religion wanted me to do this, because government said I should do this, because my society, because social media, blah, 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 because my spiritual community told me I should do this. This is where it gets super interesting, is that we have gone from a very monogam-ish society, religion, social structure, and people think that it needs to go the other extreme. Like, everyone love everyone, free for all. You know, like I have been in relationships in the past where they were taking the love is the answer to mean that they can break any agreements that they have with me, or, you know, like just like, honestly, in my opinion, I don't want to judge, but like it just felt very selfish. It was just very self-centered of like me. I want to do this. I want to do that. And how do you have a connection when people are in this energy? So what I've experienced in a lot of the spiritual communities, like I've helped start some of these around the world, I've experienced a lot of them, is that people are kind of in this phase right now, especially in like the newer spiritual communities, the ones that haven't really had time to progress and go through these stages, is that there's this energy of, I want to have it all. Like I'm a kid in a candy shop. Like me, I need to have all the candy. I need to try all the things. I want to date everyone. If you're in this mode, there is literally nothing wrong with this energy as long as you're honoring yourself and the people you're in connection with. So something I would recommend if you're in this energy of like, I really just need to be free. I need to figure out my own edges, my own boundaries, my own sovereignty. Then do what I think is called solo poly. And what that means is that you are dating yourself and you are only responsible for yourself. So it's like you're in a relationship with yourself as the primary partner. And then everyone else is kind of extras in that. Like you are the main character with yourself. And that, if you're going from that perspective, it's easier for people to understand at least like what they're signing up for. What I've noticed on places like Koh Phangan and Bali, where we have more time to explore these kind of openness situations, is, and like, you know, polyamory and all this stuff, like basically anything besides monogamy, anything we have explored a lot as a culture, especially within the Koh Phangan community. I can speak to that because I've been there for over 5 years now. Is that a lot of us who live there and lead a lot of this stuff, we have gone through all of the experiences of, you know, the kid in the candy shop and trying everything, and every single moment you can meet someone new and like, oh my God, what does it mean? And like, especially, you know, if you've been to Burning Man, it's very much like this. Like at every moment, like there's this opportunity. Also, Carnival in Brazil is kind of like this. It's like at every moment you might make out with someone, you know, like there's just like sensuality on every corner and everyone's just like twerking with it. But like, how do you build a sustainable life in that energy? That's where I'm coming from. So I was talking back to my story with my girlfriend. I was talking to my girlfriend at this cuddle event that I organized last week with Sasha. And she was saying like, wow, Brittnee, I'm really surprised that you are, you know, opening your field to the idea of monogamy. I've always just assumed that people in the play party scene are really into openness and like as a way of life. And I was telling her like, you know, I really want everyone to come to my vanilla play parties or something like it, because I think it's really important to go to these places that are safer, whatever you want to call it. And I could consider them like pleasure school, like you are allowing yourself to open your body and your fields to different ways of connecting and relating to other people. That doesn't mean that is like what I was saying to her was like, I don't think everyone needs to go to these all the time. Like, it's not like a swingers community where it's just like, this is who you are and this is how you identify. It's like, I really just want everyone to come try it, learn what they need to learn, and then like go out and do their thing in the world, And I think what we need more is like people who are willing to put down foundational roots to build communities around the world and to raise families and to create new earth societies. Not like we need to all just be like fucking everyone, like I know that sounds pretty crass, but I just think that anyway, so what I found in the conversation with her was like she had this preconceived idea that people in the sacred sexuality space, all of us are super open and, we're all like having sex with each other. And if you wanted to even like put your toes into that scene or even go to a cuddle event, that would mean like that you're opening yourself up to non-monogamy. And I was telling her like, no, the more that you're in, at least, okay, I'll just speak from my opinion. The more that I have been in sacred sexuality scenes, the more that I have been leading these kind of things, the more that I am actually very protective of my energy and, like really wanting to make sure that everyone who comes into my personal field, is someone that's meeting me energetically. So they can be like the most beautiful man ever, but like, are you on the same spiritual path as me? Are you growing at the same rate? Are you, basically our lives moving in the same direction? Because whoever you share your energy with, you're like literally sharing your energy with, and you're merging your energy with them. There is an exchange. There is like things happening. So like, do I want that kind of exchange? That's basically the question I ask myself more and more these days. And so it becomes a lot more of a deeper question. That being said, that doesn't mean that I close myself off to connection. So I think what happens is people get very black and white. They're like, okay, I'm either in the sacred sexuality scene or the swinger scene, whatever box you want to put that in, or I'm in like the monogamy thing, because basically like I don't want to open this box over here of like openness or connection with people besides my romantic partner, because I don't really want to go down that path of like, what does that mean? And so what I was explaining to her, my friend, and I wanted to share, I got inspired to share this with all of you. I'm doing this thing today where I'm moving my hair around a lot. My friends are always teasing me like, Brittnee, why do you do that in the podcast? Your hair always looks great. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just one of those days. So this brings me to the question of like, what would it look like to be in some sort of monogam-ish relationship where you're building a foundation with your partner, you're really like honoring what each of you is going through, because that's kind of where I'm at, right? So like, I'm like asking myself, well, how do I connect? Because my friend was basically saying that she was surprised that I'm hosting these cuddle events, that I'm hosting the play parties when I myself am craving monogamy or like calling in monogamy. And what I was saying to her and what I wanted to share with all of you was that it doesn't need to be black and white. Like you can be in a monogam-ish relationship with your partner where you are. So I guess I'll speak to what I am doing and what I am calling in is a monogamish. I say monogam-ish because people are very black and white about monogamy, and they put like all of the types of touch and connection that we need from humans into the box of getting that from our romantic partner. So I'm kind of speaking to like the programming that already exists in the world today around monogamy. And so from that perspective and that idea, like what I would be calling in with my partner would be something that is monogam-ish. And what that means is that, like I talk about in my play parties and the vanilla play parties, like 3 different types of touch. And I want to share that here in this podcast. You probably, if you've been to my play parties or if you've heard any of my podcasts, you've probably heard this, but it's really pertinent to what I'm talking about now. And I just realized I want to take a deep breath. I think I've had too much caffeine today. I'm kind of rolling with it though. I'm like just so excited to be back in podcast mode. You guys, I love making podcasts. I love talking to all of you. I love sharing all of this with you and having it be such an open conversation and like asking you what you think about it and like meeting you in the street and like hearing about how much it's affected your life. And yeah, I'm just really excited. Oh my God, I am that white bitch right now, drinking my pumpkin spice. Okay, I'm just owning it. Fucking owning it. Okay, so 3 different types of touch. Caring touch. This is the kind of touch that you would give. Caring touch. This is the kind of touch you would give your family and your friends. In no way is this touch hopefully ever going to become sensual or sexual. Like, imagine the hug you get from your grandma, or like, cuddling with your sister or something. Like for me and my sisters, we would cuddle a lot growing up, and this was just like a very caring touch. This is just things you do when you're kids, right? This is like this kind of caring touch, this hugs, this cuddling in like a non-sensual or sexual way is actually very tribal. Like I've studied a lot of ideology around how we have lived as a human species for most of our incarnation on this planet. So like, yeah, we are in this specific timeline, but your genes are connected to, biologically connected to how we have lived for centuries and centuries and centuries as tribes. So in those kind of tribal settings, a lot of times we are all living in the same, like literally we're all sleeping in the same area because safety, and also because of heat, like all these primal things that we need. But because of that, you also are sleeping near or with each other, right? It's just like very normal to do like family sleeping arrangements, or, just like literally cuddling up next to someone for like body heat. This also regulates our nervous system. And by regulating our nervous system, I mean like if you think of your nervous system, think of like a warm, energetic, golden line going down all your chakra points. This is you in alignment. This is your nervous system, like in alignment, calm, feeling good, feeling what we call regulated. You need about 7 to 8 hugs in a caring touch kind of way. So in a non-sexual, non-sensual way for your nervous system to feel regulated or in alignment. So we've needed this since we were in tribal times. But nowadays we have explored the idea of separation and individualism to the very max. We are actually coming out of this cycle right now that we're going into Pluto and Aquarius. And so you'll see people slowly wake up to the idea like, oh, I need community. Oh, this is really important to get a hug. Like, this is something that was like a no-brainer for us for thousands of years. And now we have gone to the very, very max of exploring separation and individualism. So for some people, their nervous system and their body understands it more than their mental process, because their programming has gotten so hardcore into being an individual. So that's caring touch. The second type of touch is sensual touch. So this does not touch your sexual organs, like, your boobs or your private area, your penis or your vagina. Just saying that out loud so we understand what we're talking about. Sensual touch is activating your senses. So it can be like stroking your arm. It can be a massage. It can be putting feathers over someone. It can be tying someone up. It can be literally anything that activates your senses. It could be like someone talking in your ear sensually. So like, just like, it doesn't need to actually be a physical touch. But it usually is if we're talking about sensual touch. So sensual touch doesn't necessarily lead to sexual touch. It can, or it can go back into caring touch, or it can just stay in sensual touch. That's what's beautiful about sensual touch, is it's all about the flow of the energy. You're just literally tapping into the flow, and you're co-creating an energy field together. Sexual touch, the third one, is it doesn't necessarily even mean touching your sexual your organs. Words. It doesn't necessarily mean touching your sexual parts of your body, but the energy around it is, I want to fuck you right now. So it's just like this, like, I want you energy. Like, I want to connect with you in a sexual way. And I think that's really sexy. Like, for all consenting parties, like, if everyone's in on it, it's like, this is great, right? So what my friend was talking about was like, she was saying that even coming into this cuddle event. Cuddle event. It wasn't like even that big of a thing. It was just like we were just like, hey, getting all our friends together and putting the mattresses in the living room and cuddling. This is how I started the play parties like almost 5 years ago. Was I just put all the mattresses in the living room and I had all my friends together and we were just cuddling, like carrying touch, clothes on. Not even sensual or sexual. We're just talking about our week and cuddling. And we did this for so many weeks that it became a rumor on Kopanang that I was hosting play parties. And I wasn't, not yet. But the foundation of it was this caring touch and this this getting together as friends. So my friend that walked into this situation last week, she was like, yeah, I wasn't sure if this situation was going to if it was going to stay caring touch, if it was going to go into sensual or sexual. And I was like, oh, that's super interesting, because in my mind, it's just caring touch. And so I announced that at the beginning of like us all getting together and cuddling. I was like, just so everyone knows, this is just staying caring touch tonight. And like, this is the boundary and da-da-da. And I could tell some people were like, oh, okay, they were dropping in. But I wanted to share that with you guys, that like you can create within your communities this environment of cuddle events, of co-regulating and caring touch by having this vocabulary, and also by speaking this vocabulary and creating a safe container for you and your friends. Because my friend who came on last Tuesday, she was like, I love this. I love this idea of us just getting together and cuddling. I know you did this back when I first met you on the island, Brittnee. I just assumed that you had evolved into only doing sexual spaces. And I was like, I mean, that's what people know me for, but like, that doesn't mean that I personally want to always be in a sexual space. Like, I love hosting those spaces because they are such deep transformational portals. We're going into a vortex where people are coming out a very different person. And I love hosting like safe spaces for people to go through that transformation. But that doesn't mean that I personally need to be in that all the time, or that I crave that myself. I actually feel that most of us crave caring touch. Your body needs the caring touch before it ever wants to open to sensual or sexual. So this is why a lot of women, when they're in monogamous relationships, they start feeling what's called overtouched. If you have kids, you already know what this means. It's like if you have kids, like your child's like nursing, it's touching you, it's always wanting you. So a lot of my friends who are moms, they're like, I just feel so overtouched. Like, I don't want my partner to touch me because my kids are touching me all day long. I just want to be by myself. But even if you don't have kids, this is something you might not understand, because this is something I didn't understand when I was in monogamous relationships in the past, was that because of us, we're in a society where a lot of us put all of our needs for touch in the box of maybe our family if they live nearby, but mostly our romantic partner. If you're a woman and you're in the situation, in order for you to feel sensual or sexual, your base needs of caring touch, and this also goes for guys, but I would just say that guys are more sexually motivated than women are, in the sense of like primal needs. It's just the way we're programmed, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that our bodies work. But for us women, in order for us to awaken our sensual or our sexual energies within our bodies, we need to have caring touch first. So if you're in a space right now where you're just not feeling super sensual or sexual in your body, like within your monogamous relationship, I invite you to have sessions with your partner, or with your partner and friends, if you guys are open to this, where you're only doing caring touch. So you're like, okay, tonight we're only gonna hug and cuddle, and there's nothing else that we're gonna do. Like, even if we're starting to feel turned on, we're just gonna like say it's you and your partner. Even if we're getting turned on, we're not gonna act on it. Tonight's just gonna be caring touch, because this actually builds up the energy of sensual and sexual desire, which then you can act on later. I had a lover, he became a lover of mine, but I met him through my play parties, and he's married with 2 kids in Berlin. They're in a super open relationship. They've been for many years. And I actually loved it because when they had kids, they became monogamous again. They were together for like 6 years before they had kids. And then they had kids for a couple years. Like, they have 2 kids. And then so they locked it down for like 4 years. And then he said, I wanted to feel what it felt like for her to be open and for me to not be. So for the first year of them exploring openness again after they had kids, she was the only one going on dates. And I was just like, I think that's so sexy that like he wanted to just really hold the container for her and like also feel what it felt like to like, you know, like if he was experiencing jealousy or just like really just make sure he was holding down the fort for the children and for her while she started to open back up her sensuality and her sexuality. And I just really honored him for that. But he was saying that what I wanted to bring up about these people is that he was saying that like because of the play parties and the fact that the vanilla play parties that I organize are no penile penetration, him and his wife started doing this thing. They still do it to this day, like years later, where every other day is an opportunity for like basically every odd day they don't have sex. Like there's no penetrative sex. That's the boundary in their relationship. And every even day they can have penetrative sex. It's not like it has to happen, but it's like on the table. And he was saying that for his wife, like this really opened up her sensuality and her sexuality because there was kind of this breathing room, I guess, of like, okay, today it's not going to happen, but we can like flirt, we can get, you know, frisky with each other. And we need this eros in our lives, this mystery, this like, you know, one of the reasons why we stop desiring our partner is because they're always available. And if you've been in a monogamous relationship for any longer period of time, past a year, you understand what this is like. I've been in many long-term relationships. You know, I was married for 6 years. I've been in other long-term monogamous and monogam-ish relationships. And what I've realized is like, you know, you need that mystery. You need that like opportunity for it to not happen in order for you to actually want it to happen. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but for our psyches, it makes total sense. Like we need to feel that there is this mystery still, and we need to feel like there's still something to be discovered and that there's still something to be desired. And also, so what I want to wrap up about this whole thing with the cuddle event is I would love for these cuddle events to go around the whole world. I think that these are like super helpful for our nervous system. I posted this on Instagram and like so many people are messaging me like, oh, I want this in my city. Can you come bring this here? And I'm like, cuddle events are so easy. We don't need Brittnee Bond to facilitate them. Like, you know, just get them going. Like, get your friends together. Just say caring touch. Like, basically, if this is the kind of touch you would give your grandma, this is okay. If it's not the kind of touch you would give your grandma, then that's not what we're gonna do in this field right now, in like this situation. And just let it flow, you know. And also that. Just because I'm in a conscious community or I'm leading sexual events does not mean that anyone who comes to hang out, also like people that come to the play parties, they don't even need to play, you know, like I think there's this misconception that if you're in the conscious community, it means you suddenly need to be very open. You need to share your partner with everyone. And this is one thing I said to her, my girlfriend, I was like, I understand that I'm a public figure in my communities. And I also realize I don't want to share my partner with my community. Like I already share so much of my life. I'm already so giving of myself. My partner, whoever that is in the future, that's mine, you know, like that's my private life with this person. And if we choose as a team to be open, that's amazing. Or, you know, like, and it's totally fine if my partner wants to be open. I'm not like controlling them. I'm saying I'm going to line up with someone who has the same desires as me of like, yeah, I want to keep this sacred sexuality between us and we can, you know, share these other parts of ourselves with other people. Because like what I realized also in open relating is, oh my God, you guys, it takes so much energy. It takes so much energy already to process my own current emotions on the daily and then to process everyone else's emotions in the situation of like connection, like whoever I'm connecting with, whoever my partner's connecting with, how we feel about all that. That's like it felt like a full-time job at some point. And I was like, I don't want this to be a full-time job. I have so many other things I am excited to build in my life. I want to make courses. I'm launching the play parties in San Francisco and LA. I need to figure out like what's going on with Afro back in Thailand. I'm going back so I specifically can take care of her because she's my child. Like I have so many things that are on my radar right now. And this is not even talking about the spiritual things that I understand what's happening in the world and like very real things are about to happen in our society that most people are not prepared for. And these are like, I literally do not have any desire. You can feel the frustration in my voice. I'm going to take a deep breath. I don't have any desire to be in an open relationship in the future. And I'm saying this about with a primary partner. So I was talking to Noah, who has been on my podcast before. It's one of my best friends, Michaela's partner. We just went on this road trip down to Disneyland. And I was talking to him about this concept that I want to share with you guys that I found really interesting. I was talking to this guy. I have so many people reaching out to me online, like since I've gotten to the States. And this one guy that was like, hey, I wanted to connect with you and da-da-da. And he's like, I do kitchen poly with my friends. And I was like, what? Like, he said kitchen table poly. And I wrote him back. I was like, I'm just so curious. What is kitchen table poly? I've never heard this before. And he was saying it's basically like all of his group of friends, all of his close group of friends, everyone kind of like literally like everyone sits at a kitchen table together and everyone's talking about who they're connecting with. So it's like everyone's kind of sleeping with everyone, but everyone knows about it. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. Cause like the group of friends that I had when I first started making the play parties, like almost 5 years ago, we did this. Like we all were kind of dating each other. Everyone knew who was sleeping with whom. We supported each other. Like our main goal was to be protecting the connection between all of us and supporting each other as soul family. And I asked him, I said, is this working for you guys? And he was like, oh my God, it's working so much. And basically he was kind of like welcoming me into this. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be part of this. I'm good. But I almost I think I might meet up with him when I get back to LA, just because I was like, I'm so curious about this and I want to like share it with people on my podcast. So if you've heard of something called kitchen poly, let me know, because I'd love to put it on my podcast. And if not, I may just go interview this guy and put him on my podcast. Because the world needs to know. The world needs to know. Okay, Moss, what else? I have so much I want to say. The last couple of days I was staying at my friend's forest house, just north of San Francisco in Sonoma County. And it's the first time that I have been alone, like completely alone, not just like for an hour or two, like completely alone in a nature place, completely alone first off, since Berlin, which is like over 2 months ago. And then on top of that, I was in my friend's beautiful forest house, which has an outdoor jacuzzi and an outdoor bathtub underneath the trees and like a steam room and a sauna. I mean, not a steam room sauna thing and a cold plunge. And I was like reading on the daybed outside and like falling asleep under the trees and just like doing like late night jacuzzi sessions by myself and masturbating. It was great. I was really vibing with myself. And also I was so tired. I was like uncovering these layers of exhaustion that I think I haven't been allowing myself to touch because I've just been go mode so much. And there's been so many opportunities like since coming to the States, like dealing with my family stuff. Something I haven't really shared is like both of my parents have asked me to not share about them on my podcast. Which is super interesting that my family, who does not answer the phone for most of the last 10 years, all listen to my podcast. And I think in one way, one part of me finds this to be nice that like they're listening. Another part is wanting to honor the privacy that I have with them. So I just want to speak to that. I have been dealing with a lot of family stuff since coming here that I haven't really been sharing that much about, but it has been really taking up a lot of my energy, and maybe I'll share about it one day, but right now I think it's best to honor their privacy. But I've just been really also like speaking to that without talking about what's happening, but just kind of like just really learning so much about my own shadows by dealing with my family. You know, like when you go off and you're like, I have healed everything. Like at least you think you've healed everything, and then you talk to your parents and you're like, my friend Sasha was like, they have like these back doors into our psyche of like how to like push all our buttons, to the point where I'm just like, what just happened? Like I just got like hijacked. My nervous system just got hijacked by my parents, and now I'm like shaking because I don't know what's going on. So yeah, it's just super interesting to navigate that. And then Burning Man has been epic. Met so many amazing people, and just like the last couple days, just like allowing myself to sleep as much as I need to. And I think this is something I just want to share with you, that like it is so important for us to let our nervous system rest, because there's not much in society today that encourages this. We have encouraged the hustle life, and also I think a lot of us feel like this kind of inner, like pot boiling, like the teapot, the kettle is boiling on society, and the pressure of the world is like heightened a lot right now. And it's very normal to feel like, oh my God, what's happening next? Because there are really big, beautiful things happening next. But the world itself is on a timeline of either fear or stepping into a higher consciousness, which is allowing ourselves to be led with love. So when you are allowing yourself to really, this is the lesson I've had in this trip since coming to the States, is like being like, I don't know how I'm getting to Burning Man. I don't know where I'm going to sleep at Burning Man. Like all these things keep getting, like all the things that I had planned and I had put a lot of energy into arranging and trying to be a responsible adult, they just kept getting like ripped away. And I was like, why is this happening? And then when I was at Burning Man, I just had so many moments where I was like, I am so grateful that I didn't know what was happening next, because otherwise this beautifully magical situation would not have unfolded. For instance, even like me, how I left Burning Man, I didn't know how I was going to get out of Burning Man. I had many friends that were going to Lake Tahoe, friends that were going to Reno for the after parties. And then I ended up connecting with my friend Daniel, who I'm staying at his house right now, or just left his house. I'm in his car right now, borrowing his car. And he was one of our camp leads, and I just kept connecting with him so well. And one of his best friends who was in our camp is someone that I went through lockdown with on the island. So we have like mutual friends, very similar vibrations, very similar work that we're doing in the world around sacred sexuality and medicine circles and all this stuff. And I felt into it. Like the last day I was at Burning Man, I'm like, who do I want to decompress with? Like, where do I want to go? Do I want to go to Tahoe, where it's super party on the lake? Do I want to go to Reno, which I did last year, which is like a super party in a hotel? Or do I want to go to this like beautiful forest nature spot with like people that feel like soul family, even if they're new soul family? And I ended up doing the last one. And I'm so grateful because I was able to connect with Daniel more. Some of my friends, Isa and Michaela Noah, came to stay. And it's just like soul family, like everyone coming together, eating. He grows his own vegetables and fruit, and, everything's like natural, and the energy there is very magical and special. And if I had in my physical mind planned what I was going to do like 5 steps ahead, I never would have opened myself to the synchronicity and the magic and the opportunities that were unfolding. And this is something that's kind of a big lesson of Burning Man in general, is like you're just throwing yourself into this like vortex of like magical opportunities and synchronicities. But what if we viewed our whole life like this, And this is something I wanted to bring to you, that like maybe you're not able to ever go to Burning Man. That's okay. But like, what if you allowed yourself to be in the void a little bit longer than is normally comfortable for you, and allowed yourself to really feel into the synchronicity and the magic that is unfolding in your life? Another example is like, I literally don't know where I'm going to be after Sunday. It is Thursday right now. I have plans up until Sunday. I have many opportunities where to go after Sunday, but like I don't have like a set plan. And I'm just letting my friends know I'm feeling into the synchronicity, and I will feel what is a fuck yes in my body by the time Sunday comes around. Most people would not be able to hold that kind of uncertainty, like the uncomfortableness of the fact that you don't have a solid plan. And for me, I just look at it as there is so much abundance around me, and the universe has a plan for me. I'm just like following the breadcrumbs like one at a time to figure out what is the most magical timeline for myself. And even for me, this has taken a while for me to be able to get to this level of really following the synchronicity. Even coming out to the States right now, like I had this very strong calling that I was going to start the play parties in the community in Los Angeles. ever since coming out here, since Burning Man, all of the people in my soul family that I'm super connected with, I have friends in LA, but the people that I'm very, very close to that are like, I will house you, I will help you find a location, I have a whole community here that you can already tap into. They're here in the Bay Area. They're not in LA, not yet at least. And so I sat there and I was like, am I meant to force this? And I was like, no, I am so over the idea and the reality of me forcing anything in my life. Like, no, thank you. And so I was like, what feels like a fuck yes in my body? And then my friend was Sasha is like, I'm DJing at this play party tomorrow. And I know the girl who's organizing it. So I messaged her, I'm going to help out. I'm going to be one of the angels. And then we're going to spend the rest of the weekend looking for locations for the play party for me here in San Francisco. And I am feeling really good about organizing one in the beginning of October here. And then I just need to decide if I need to go back to Thailand and be there for Afro, my dog, or if I have another friend who can watch her until I come back in November and do like one more play party either here in the Bay or in LA. So if you're part of I'm just doing this shout out that like, if you know of a location here in San Francisco or one in LA for the play party, I usually do like, luxury, vibey, like penthouse loft suites or mansions, like something that just feels really luxurious, and it can host like up to about 100, 150 people. The parties are usually like 80 to 100 people. Let me know. And yeah, and if you want to be involved in any way, like let me know, because this is something where I just feel like so excited right now that I'm like on the ground level. Like I know what it took to build the play parties in Copenhagen and Berlin. And now I'm in that phase of like, I was journaling this morning. I was like, this is one of the last times going to be in this like brand new phase, because I feel like everything else is just kind of an expansion from these home bases that I'm building. And I feel like I will franchise a lot of the play parties and have other people run them in like their home cities and stuff. But for me, this is one of the last times where it'll be like my first time going and launching a play party in this location. And I was like, wow, I'm really excited to see like who shows up, like who wants to be part of this ground level with me. Because right now I have a lot of people reaching out to me in Europe and Copenhagen that want to like feed off of the community that I've already made. And what I said to them is like, I don't share anyone else's play parties in my community chats. I've built those community chats over 5 years. Unless I can vouch for their facilitation, like unless I've been to one of their events or they have been part of, this is the most important one, they've been part of me building out my play parties around the world. They're part of my team, they're part of my community, they help me in some way, because this is how we build it together worldwide, So if you want to be on the ground level of that here in the States, like, oh my gosh, it's such exciting times, and karma always comes back around. So I would love to co-create this with you. And, yeah, just let me know. And it's just like, I'm so excited. I don't know if you can feel it, but I'm very excited. And I can feel the synchronicity. And like, I just find it really fascinating that like the universe is bringing all the synchronicity to the Bay Area. Cause I'm from Sacramento, which is like an hour and a half north of here. So yeah, it's just interesting. It feels like the universe is like, go home for a little bit and then we're going to bring it down to LA. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out to my best friend, Michaela. It's her birthday today. This podcast will probably be released afterwards, but I just love her so much. She's the first friend I ever made after I left my religion 10 years ago. And we met in group therapy, which I find hilarious. I just love that story. And if you go back to the very first podcast I ever made on this podcast show, it's with Michaela. I was so nervous to make my first podcast. I didn't even record it on video because I was so nervous to put myself out there. And she was like, I'll do it with you. And she just like interviewed me and helped me feel comfortable. And I will be forever grateful. This is like soul family, OG soul family, like the people that were there before you were anything in the world, before you had proven yourself. They just believe in you and believe what you can do and believe who you can become. And this is like what helps carry you in the moments when you are doubting yourself. We all need this. And I'm that person for so many of my soul family. And I invite you to be like that for your soul family and to let people show up for you. Something that I've really been feeling into lately is like I have a lot of beautiful men in my life right now and a lot of new romantic connections. And I know exactly what I want in my life partner. And I was also listening to Bashar this morning when I was driving into the Bay, and some woman asked him like, how do you find your soulmate? And I was just like, bing, like I really paid attention to this question. And he was like, act like every single person that you love that's coming into your life is your soulmate. Because if if the soulmate that you're thinking that you want right now, like your one and only person, if they're meant to be in your life, they will come into your life. There's nothing that can block them. If they're not meant to be in your life in this lifetime, there's nothing that can bring them into your life. So act like every single person along your path who you share love with is your soulmate, because in some way they are, even if it's for a moment, even if it's for one lesson, even if it's for the certain mission, side quest that you're meant to do. And I was feeling into like the guy, Jimmy, that I went to Egypt with. And I knew at the time that he wasn't my life partner. And I was just feeling into that after I listened to this question. I was like, I really wish I would have leaned into that connection more in that moment, because I think there was a part of me that was blocking myself from really enjoying it, because I was like, I can't get too involved, like I can't allow myself to fall for this person because they're not my life partner. And it's like, what if we could hold the vision of who we wanted as a life partner? Like, we've already said it to the universe. I've already made a vocal affirmation that I listen to every morning. The universe knows what I want in a life partner. Okay. Like there's nothing, they're not going to miss that. Like the universe is not going to be like, oh, I forgot, like I have been very clear about what I want. So I can just relax and enjoy all of the beautiful love stories along the way, all of the beautiful men and women showing up into my field. And just enjoy and like let the love in. That was my download this morning. And I wanted to share that with you. It's like, let the love in. Just let it flow through your life and just really enjoy all of the beautiful moments that you have of connection. Like that's what we're here for in this life, is to really enjoy the connection that we have with each other, ourselves, source energy, and nature. Like connection. We have already explored the idea of separation to the max. Let's let the idea of connection in more. Okay. That's all I got in my little car podcast, my side quest of a podcast right outside of Starbucks. Again, I am not promoting Starbucks. I am recommending that you go to your local provider and just really support locals, because we need to do that. And that's something I'm really excited about here in San Francisco and LA, is to like create this core community. Exactly what I did on Copenhagen was like create this core community, start figuring out what is our ecosystem around that supports all of us, like when it comes to food and nourishment, like health and wellness. And then also like create these events of like cuddle events that like are core for our co-regulation of our nervous system, and then the play parties, and then retreats, and like just all the things I've already done in Berlin and Copenhagen. I'm just really excited to bring them out here. So yeah, this is me. I'm going to go to the gym now. I'm sending you guys all so much love, and I promise to make more podcasts now that I have access to a laptop. We were in LA last week, and I just didn't make it over to Koreatown where my friend lives, because we were just like bopping around, going to all these parties, going to Disneyland, going to a stag dance on the beach. And I'm like, I love my life. Also happy that I just slept for like 2 days straight, because, you can love your life and also just really love sleep. And like know that you need to get caught up on sleep. Okay, I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Bye.